Hey Cowboys Nation, welcome back to the channel, your ultimate source for all things Dallas Cowboys. Today, we've got a huge news drop from the star that you absolutely need to hear about. The Dallas Cowboys have officially made 4 major roster moves, and these aren't just your average preseason tweaks. These are the kind of decisions that shape depth charts, hint at the coach's mindset heading into the regular season, and give fans plenty to speculate about. We're talking 2 key signings, 1 player moved to injured reserve, and 1 unfortunate roster cut that has fans talking across social media. So buckle up, because we're going deep into each move, how it came to be, what it means, and how it might impact the Cowboys heading into the most pivotal stretch of the 2025 NFL offseason. Let's start with what prompted these moves in the first place. Training camp is underway, and like every year, it's brought both excitement and adversity. A pair of injuries threw a wrench into the Cowboys' plans and forced the front office into action. First, a young promising cornerback sustained a significant injury. He hyperextended his knee during a practice session. While initial fears of a tear were dismissed, the injury is serious enough to sideline him for at least 4 to 6 weeks. This setback is particularly painful because cornerback depth is already an issue for the team. Just as coaches were hoping to see some progress in the secondary, they're now dealing with uncertainty and scrambling to maintain coverage strength. Add to that the injury to one of the team's key offensive tackles, another 4 to 6 week timeline with a fractured bone in his knee, and you've got a situation where depth, rotation, and flexibility become top priorities. When 2 young contributors go down, the ripple effects across the roster can be huge. In response to this adversity, the Cowboys signed 2 veteran players to shore up the roster. The first is a familiar name in Dallas circles, a former player who had previously made his mark on the offensive line. He's back, slimmer, more focused, and ready to contribute again. Reports from training camp suggest he looked good in workouts and earned the coaching staff's trust to rejoin the squad. The Cowboys are likely hoping that he can provide veteran leadership and physical presence on the line, especially in a system he already understands. For a team trying to protect its franchise quarterback and establish the run game, having a reliable backup or even a potential starter at tackle is a big deal. This move isn't just a stopgap, it could be an audition for a bigger role. The second signing targets the secondary, where the aforementioned injury left a glaring hole. The team added a seasoned cornerback who has bounced around the league but brings valuable experience and physical tools to a team desperately in need of coverage help. He may not be a flashy pickup, but at this point in the offseason, it's about functionality over flair. He knows how to compete, understands multiple defensive schemes, and can step in as needed during preseason games and possibly even week 1. The coaching staff clearly didn't want to rely too heavily on untested talent, and adding a veteran like this creates a bit more breathing room. It also gives special teams coordinator John Fassel another option. Many of these depth DBs play key roles on kick and punt units, and that shouldn't be overlooked. The third move was placing the injured rookie cornerback on injured reserve. This wasn't an easy decision. You never want to sideline a young player during his developmental period, but sometimes it's the only path forward. The team had to free up a roster spot to make room for the incoming veteran, and with a multi-week injury timeline, IR became the most logical choice. This does raise questions, though. Will the player be able to return early in the season? Is there a deeper concern about his durability? While nothing has been confirmed on that front, it's safe to say that this injury opens the door for others in the CB room to make their mark. Preseason just got a lot more competitive for the back end of the secondary. Expect undrafted rookies and special teams specialists to see more reps in the coming weeks. The fourth and final move was a cut, always the hardest kind of roster adjustment, especially during camp. The casualty this time was a wide receiver who had been quietly competing for a depth role. Once viewed as a potential hidden gem, this player just didn't stand out enough during practices to cement his spot. With the team needing space to bring in the defensive back, and with a crowded receiver room full of promising rookies and experienced veterans, he became the odd man out. The Cowboys front office doesn't make these decisions lightly. Every cut is the result of countless hours of evaluation, discussion, and projection. In this case, it's a reminder of how brutally competitive NFL roster spots are, especially on a team with championship aspirations. So what does all of this mean when you put the pieces together? For starters, the Cowboys are clearly prioritizing immediate health and readiness over long-term development right now. That's understandable. The regular season is just around the corner, and Dallas can't afford to fall behind early in the NFC East. By bringing in a veteran offensive lineman and an experienced corner, they're signaling that they're not willing to gamble on raw, unproven talent unless absolutely necessary. It's a win-now mindset, and that's been consistent with what we've heard from the coaching staff and front office all offseason. Jerry Jones and his team have made it clear, the time is now. With stars like Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons, and CeeDee Lamb all expected to play at elite levels, the Cowboys are trying to eliminate every weak link in the chain before kickoff in Week 1. There's also a philosophical shift happening. In past seasons, Dallas was sometimes criticized for being too reactive, waiting too long to replace injured players, hesitating to make necessary changes. But this year, they're moving fast. Within 48 hours of the injuries, they had replacements signed, medical evaluations done, and roster spots opened. That kind of decisiveness could make a difference when the margins between winning and losing are razor thin. Coaches want players they can trust. That means veterans who understand the grind, who can adapt quickly, and who don't need extensive reps to get ready. That's what both of these new signings bring. Now, let's talk about how this affects the competition across the depth chart. In the defensive backfield, we could see a serious shake-up. The new cornerback will likely get second-team reps immediately, and depending on how he performs in the next preseason game, he could push for more. That puts pressure on the younger corners' draft picks, practice squad guys, and UDFAs to raise their level. No one's job is safe. And in the offensive line room, the re-signing of a former Cowboy signals that the team isn't quite satisfied with what they've seen from the backups. That's a challenge to the second and third string linemen: prove you belong, or someone else will take your spot. Even the wide receiver group, which seemed relatively stable, will now feel the trickle-down effect. Cutting a receiver might not seem like a big deal, but it tells the rest of the unit that nothing is guaranteed. You've got to perform every day. Coaches are watching every route, every special teams snap, every block downfield. It's about who contributes, not just who has raw talent. That mentality fosters a different kind of competitive culture, one that's going to shape this team from the inside out. So Cowboys Nation, where does this leave us? We're looking at a team that's clearly in transition mode, not rebuilding, not panicking, but adapting. Injuries are inevitable, and how a team responds says a lot about its DNA. In this case, Dallas responded with urgency and intention. That should give fans confidence heading into the heart of training camp. There's still time for more moves. We could see additional signings, trades, or even surprise cuts in the weeks ahead. But for now, the Cowboys are doing exactly what you'd hope: filling gaps, staying aggressive, and keeping their eyes on the bigger goal. The season ahead won't be easy, and every roster decision made now could determine who's on the field during crunch time in December and January. And that's the latest, folks. 4 big moves from the Dallas Cowboys in just a few days. 2 signings, 1 IR, 1 cut, and a whole lot of ripple effects across the locker room. If you're fired up about the upcoming season, if you've got thoughts on these roster changes, or if you've got a sleeper pick you think is going to shine in camp, I want to hear from you. Drop your comments below, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this video with your fellow Cowboys faithful. We've got tons more coverage coming your way: camp battles, preseason game analysis, injury updates, and full 53-man roster predictions. Thanks for riding with us, and as always, go Cowboys!